Hello, everybody. This is Ron Northcutt, and I'm here. We've got a little bit of time here. We wanted to talk about Acquia CMS. So, sorry about that. So today, what we're going to do is we're going to take a quick look at Acquia CMS, what it is, and how it can actually work for you. So let's jump in real quick. Now, there's a lot of information to cover here. I'm not going to be able to get to all of it in detail. So what you can do is you can come by the Acquia booth a little bit later. I will be hosting a Q&A to get into some of the more specifics. So please bring your questions to me. I would love to dig into it. For those who don't know, my name is Ron Northcutt. I've been around Drupal for a little bit. I work at Acquia as the Director of Developer Advocacy, and I've been working with the Acquia CMS team for quite some time. So what is it? Well, I mean, Acquia CMS is an open source Drupal distribution, just like anything else. And it's really designed to make it easy for you to assemble content and deliver it across the whole organization. And it's optimized for our platform. So there's a lot of different ways you can do this. We're going to talk about what those are. You can take the whole thing as a package using the Composer project. You can take the bits and pieces that you want. And we've actually selected and configured some of the best community modules. We've built some contents and config modules and put this stuff together so that we could deliver things very quickly. And actually, some of the initial projects we've already seen have been delivered under time and under budget because of all of the innovation that we can package from the community and then from what our teams put together. But real quick, let's take a step back and let's talk a little bit about Acquia Lightning and why that's going away and how that's been so incredibly successful. So about 5 years ago, when Drupal 8 was first coming out, we came out with the Acquia Lightning distribution really to make it easier for developers to create authoring experiences and empower editorial teams. And when Drupal 8 was first released, we found a few areas that were kind of difficult to get things set up. And to be clear, this functionality was all possible. You could do all of this, but it required some work. You needed to know which modules, how to put them together, how to package them, and that was slowing people down. And the key areas we identified were media, layout, workflow, and being API first. So Lightning was created to provide kind of a kickstart for new Drupal projects to help them get going and to codify some of these foundational CMS features that we knew that most projects would need. Now, the entire goal of Acquia Lightning was to just help improve Drupal and to contribute as much of this back into the community and into the core as possible. And the hope was that Lightning could act as an incubator and to help build, iterate, and deliver value very, very quickly in Contrib that could then be tested, vetted, and look for places that we could pull it into core. And that's been completely successful. The Lightning team has done an amazing job. And the result is that the Lightning project has actually gotten a bit slimmer over the past half decade, as it's kind of put some of that stuff has actually gone into core. And the good news is that now Drupal 9 core provides a really powerful and extensible framework. And a lot of these things are totally baked in, as we all know. So media, layout, workflow, API first, all part of core. We have robust support, lots of tests, and a whole bunch of great contrib modules in the ecosystem that extend and build on top of it. So Lightning has been so successful, it has innovated itself kind of out of being needed anymore. And so the distribution itself is actually going to be end of life with Drupal 8. Now, the modules and the submodules of Lightning are going to continue to be supported for some time. And there's an upgrade process for anyone who's using the old Drupal Lightning profile to make it easier for you to kind of transition. That should all be pretty straightforward. Now, Acquia accomplished what it set out to do here. And I got to say, I know some of the folks that have worked so hard on this. I'm personally incredibly proud of this work and what the Lightning team has done and how we've been able to give back more. And that's just one of the beautiful things about open source, right? We're all working together to make things better. Now, but we learned a lot from that process. And Lightning was intentionally low on opinions, and it was intended to be an accelerator for Drupal core. And so some of the things we learned is that creating and managing sub-profiles is challenging. There was hope that might someday kind of make it into core. There's a patch out there still, but it's clear that that's just not necessarily the best way to go. And actually what's easier is for people to create their own profiles and their own distributions using those sub-modules, which is a pattern that Lightning adopted part of the way through its life. But while Drupal had core has greatly improved, as we've seen from some of the information that Dries shared, we've had customers and partners asking for more. You know, they wanted more integrations with our platform. They wanted more composable tools. They wanted to be able to move faster. They wanted more opinions about best practices. You know, what are the things that the people in the community, in the partner agency space, in our professional services team, what are the things that they do kind of as a standard? Tell us what those things are. You know, let's not have to reinvent the wheel. And so they wanted an accelerator to give them a faster start and enable them to start new projects and an easier way to build and extend. And we listened. And so out of that, we've created Acquia CMS. And Acquia CMS is the next step in the evolution of kind of the distribution process that we've taken on as part of what we're trying to do. Now, Acquia CMS at its core is an accelerator, and it's a faster way to start a Drupal 9 build. It includes more of those best practices and opinions, and I'm going to tell you what some of those are here. And that's really largely been driven by not only our internal teams and the community, but our professional services team, who are the experts here that know how to build amazing Drupal experiences and really large things. And how can we take that information and work with our most reliable partners, our most successful customers, and codify that? There's thousands and thousands and thousands of hours of development work that has been packaged into kind of a turnkey solution that's powered not only by our platform and our products, but also powered by Drupal Contrib and Drupal core. And we're standardizing on this for all of our new professional services projects and building out actually a series of reference architecture solutions to show you how to do different things with this and move more quickly. We'll talk a little bit about that. Now, the great thing here is that all of this stuff is available and it's out there right now. So let's go through some of the pieces here that compose Acquia CMS so we can start talking about how it can be useful for you. Now, one of the things that we've got that actually I think is actually deceptively powerful is the standardized content model that we have. I was fortunate enough to take part in a workshop a few years ago with a number of different people from around Acquia to sit down in a room for a week, and we talked about what would something like Acquia CMS look like. And what we're able to do is kind of identify, you know, these 5 key content types that would serve kind of that 80% use case that most sites, most applications would probably need. So articles, events, pages, person, and place. And the thing that's really great is there's some other things we did, like creating a specific taxonomy for each content type that allows you to do subtypes. So for example, if you have an article content type, you might have a blog article, you might have a press release article, you might have a knowledge base article. And the structure, the data structure for each one of those is not necessarily going to change that much, especially when you have low code tools like Site Studio or Layout Builder, or if you're going to be using paragraphs or something like that. So in that case, we can actually kind of simplify the number of content types we have, but provide more structure on the different subtypes. There are different entity reference links that are optional here. So for example, let's say that you were putting together a Drupal camp in your area, which would be a great thing to do, and you wanted to list the events for those camps or things that are going on. Well, the event can have a reference to a place, a location where things are going to happen. And that event might also have a reference to a person who's going to be speaking and talking at that particular event. All of this is great too, because we have some faceted search using Search API that's available turnkey out of the box, which makes it really, really easy for you to kind of take this and create a really robust system with this data model. And then of course, the standard things that you would expect with media and other things. Another thing that we took a look at was performance. So I won't go into all of the details here, but Acquia CMS has been tested and has been built out to be as performant as possible. So looking at things like AppDex scores and XHProf, making sure that at least from the out of the box perspective, there's no slow queries, and really trying to optimize for cacheability. And this is something that is going to be incredibly valuable. It's starting at that really, really good place means that you can just continue to innovate and move forward. Another big thing that we see often, especially for larger organizations, is the need for security. Sometimes that can be because of compliance reasons. Sometimes it's for internal requirements, and sometimes it's just best practice, right? Like actually having good passwords and making sure that those passwords are going to be updated on a timely basis. The thing that's very interesting about this is that coming from having been in the position at Acquia of trying to work with organizations that don't know anything about Drupal to help them understand why Drupal is a great solution, security is one of the places where Drupal really shines. And so what we wanted to do was to take all of this potential and make it so simple for people to do things. That's going to make it easier for you to implement really secure sites, but also make it easier for you to talk about this and go out there and try and help spread the word and sell Drupal to organizations that don't know about it yet. We've also gone through and taken a look at some of what we consider to be some of the most standard, best-in-class community modules. Now, you can't have everything. In fact, this isn't even a full list. If you go look at the composer file for Acquia CMS, you'll see that there's some more stuff here. But these are some things that we know work really, really well and are kind of standards. So you'll see things here that everybody has, like admin toolbar, or you'll see things like path auto and meta tag. Those are just kind of standards that everyone knows. And then there's a few places where we have some things that we know have been really useful to organizations. Google Analytics and Google Tag Manager are pretty widely used, so that's a pretty safe one to put in there. I'm personally a huge fan of the focal point module and how easy it makes it for us to rely on the image styles in Drupal to properly kind of crop things so that we don't end up with the top of people's heads cut off and things like that. So this is really, really good stuff. And this is some of the things that we've kind of packaged in here together. We've also got, of course, what our customers have been asking for is easier setup for some of the products that we have. So if people are going to be coming to Acquia and using our platform, we want to make it as easy as possible. And not only because this is how we serve the community, we serve our customers, but also because that can make it easier for them to appreciate the value that Drupal itself is providing. If it's difficult to get something set up, then there can be a perception that Drupal itself is difficult. And as we all know, the flexibility of Drupal does present challenges, but once you kind of know what's going on, things can work really, really well. So we're constantly trying to make that easier and smoother for our customers and for the people that we work with to encourage the use of Drupal. So how can you use Acquia CMS today? Well, I'm going to give you kind of 3 primary examples of where you might be taking a look. So the first one is taking the whole thing, right? So there's actually a composer project you can use. There's instructions on the page at Drupal.org. You can also go and check out GitHub, and you can use that to just install the whole package and start building out your own code base from there. Now, this is going to be ideal for Acquia customers because it's going to include all of those turnkey integrations we talked about. It's going to be optimized for our platform. So that's going to be something that's really going to make it easier for people to get up and get going on our platform itself. However, as a developer, I understand that not every project is the same. And depending on what you're building, where you're building it, who you're building it for, you may not necessarily want the whole package all at once. That's why actually what the Acquia CMS team has done, which is very clever, is they've actually extracted out most of the functionality into submodules. So there's actually 13 different submodules today that you can add to your own Drupal 9 project at any point in time. So you'll be able to start any new application already without sacrificing that flexibility. And the great thing here is that you can pick and choose the ones that you want. You can kind of customize that to where you want to go. Now, the challenge, of course, is how do we find the balance between structure and flexibility? And that's going to be a challenge we're always going to face, especially in Drupal. And the more things are packaged, sometimes the more opinions that come along with it. So we're constantly looking at how we can kind of find that balance to give you as much as possible without kind of painting you into a corner. And we've seen that with other very large distributions in the past that are super, super useful even today. But we want to make sure that we don't, we make this as useful as possible for as many people as possible. Now, option three might seem like it's kind of silly, but I think it's actually very important. And this is all just open source, right? So you may not want the full distribution, and perhaps you may not even necessarily want any of the sub modules, or there may be things that you want to do on top of that. So what you can do is you can take a look at the modules that are being used there. And if we're using them, then you know that there's been a lot of eyes on it. So that's something that's worth investigating. You can look at the configuration that we have packaged. If the Acquia CMS article content type looks really useful to you, but there's just a couple more fields, or there's some differences that you kind of prefer the way you like to do things, just go grab the config, and you can fork and kind of create your own version of that. And there's also a lot of stuff. There's going to be some blog posts coming out soon that will get into the details, but there's some stuff that's going on at the code level behind the scenes to standardize things, to automate some of the pieces that are going on in the background, so that when you create new things, stuff's kind of done for you. And all of that special sauce, it's all open source. It's right there. So feel free to go in and take a look at that, come in and ask questions, and we can all kind of make this thing better together. So what's next? Where are we going from here? Acquia CMS was just released this year. We've been making some really great progress, but it's just the beginning. So some things that are on the horizon that are coming. One of the big ones is headless options. So whether that's going to be another submodule with some opinions, or even something like headless Lightning, if you have ever used that, which has got a lot of opinions, but actually kind of pre-packages what a headless CMS using Drupal might look like. We're working on getting decoupled components and support for decoupled components into Acquia CMS as a standard. And we're closely following some of those key initiatives out there, like the decoupled menus initiative and some of those, so that we can try and help move in the same direction that the community is going and support those efforts, right? As much as possible, we want to make sure that the investments we're making into Acquia CMS as a tool set and a distribution is going to be, just like Lightning, helping to propel Drupal core and the entire community ahead. There's going to be some additional contrib options. So we're looking at some of the different packages. We want to encourage people to work with us on building out additional functionality that can leverage the work that's there, so we don't have to reinvent the wheel. And then, as I mentioned, some of those reference solutions. We've already started working on some of those things coming out. All of that is you're going to be seeing soon. So whether that's integrations with commerce tools or Elastic Path, or there's also Striker and all those other great commerce platforms, things like search with LucidWorks, machine learning, all this other fun stuff. We want to help make it easier for people to see good ways to do that, take some more sample code, and be able to build out these great experiences. But hey, tell us what you want to see. We have GitHub. There's an issue queue there. You can always find me and reach out. And we've got a number of different ways that you can kind of give us feedback on what you'd like to see. Now, typically at this point, I would switch over if we had a few minutes for questions. Unfortunately, we don't. But please do come to the Acquia booth. A little bit later, I will be hosting kind of a Q&A session. Bring your questions there. I know there have been a few questions that we can't get to, but please come and bring those. I would love to answer those and make sure you understand everything that you're trying to do. The last thing that I would say here is please, if you've got the time, look for ways, as Dries said, to get involved, to contribute, whether that's with mentoring others or getting involved with some of the workshops, some of the sprints that we have. And then just as one final plug, if you do come by our booth, we actually are going to be donating £5 to Black Girls Code, which is a great organization that we love to support. So if you come, register for a free shirt, ask some questions, we're going to make some donations on your behalf, and it's just a great way to give back. So thank you all so much. Hope you have a great day, and enjoy the rest of your conference.